This is Turgay Koskun, also known as Baba TC Ataturk, in the mobile war and strategy game Rise of Kingdoms, where they spend between 50 to 60,000 euros a month, and they've done that for the last 2 years. For those of you keeping track, that's between $60,000 to $72,000 a month for a grand total of over $1.5 million. In this video, we're going to go over the developer's interview with Baba TC, and we're going to reveal the lifestyle they live, how they've accumulated their wealth, and why they play and spend in Rise of Kingdoms. So stick around for all the juicy details as to how and why Baba TC Ataturk became the mega titan, ultra unstoppable, powerful player in Rise of Kingdoms. Honestly, this individual has as much power, more power than entire kingdoms of hundreds of players. How did he accumulate this strength and why? Stick around. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming. I'm a sponsored content creator for the game Rise of Kingdoms, and today we get to talk about Baba TC Ataturk. Over 1 billion power in Rise of Kingdoms, and that is not easy to obtain. Now, before we get into the details of this video, I feel obligated to say that if you're going to spend in a mobile game, although I'm no financial advisor, I'll share with you a few sentiments that you probably should be saving for retirement as a higher priority than spending in a mobile game, or having an emergency fund, or prioritizing your family and their needs. Don't go into credit card debt for a mobile game. Get your life priorities straight first before you spend disposable income in a mobile game. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about how Baba TC has spent over $1.5 million in Rise of Kingdoms, which, by the way, for those of you wondering how much Rise of Kingdoms might be making, the amount that Baba spends is less than a fraction of a percentage of the total amount of money made in any 1 month by Rise of Kingdoms, according to publicly available data from Sensor Tower. So let's start to unpack who is the man, the myth, the legend. Turgay Koskun, Baba TC Ataturk, is from Turkey, born and live in Germany, however, and in their free time, they like to ride their motorcycle and play Rise of Kingdoms, optimally not at the same time. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not even a funny joke. When they log into the game, the first thing they do is answer their fan mail. Naturally, hundreds of fan mails. It's honestly very impressive that they respond to their fan mail. That is very impressive. One of the core things that you do in this game is gather resources, but you know, the gather resource button for a player like Baba TC Ataturk is to go buy the resource bundle. So he doesn't gather resources in game the main way that free-to-play players accumulate value in Rise of Kingdoms. No, he buys his bundles, and that's very understandable. I could only guess, but the amount of money he makes in an hour of working probably offsets several years worth of gathering in game. So yeah, that makes sense that he's not going to spend his time gathering. The thing that got Baba into Rise of Kingdoms, if you can believe it, is actually his kid. His kid started playing Rise of Kingdoms, and so he started playing too. Look at this. Look at this model father here playing a game with his son. Comedically, his son stopped playing Rise of Kingdoms and moved on to other things. However, his son got zeroed, so we can explain this for just a second. We can explain this idea. Rise of Kingdoms, it's a game where there are some things you accumulate permanently to your account, like the research you've done, you build up a city, and you build all these buildings. That all sticks with you forever. But you're also building troops that you use for war, and you can attack other players' cities. Now, there's some amount of troops that when you're at war, you get to keep, and there's some amount of troops that you just lose forever. And so, one of the concepts in this game is if your city gets attacked, you get what's called zeroed. You lose all of your troops except a very small number that can be saved in your hospital. Those buildings, as I was describing earlier, that's one of those buildings permanently with your account. So his son was zeroed, which is a very upsetting event, by the way. I mean, if you've ever played other games on hardcore mode like Diablo, like let's all admit that we've shed a tear. We may have shed a tear for a character lost in hardcore Diablo. So you can understand when you lose all your troops pretty much in Rise of Kingdoms, it's upsetting. And so what was Baba TC Ataturk's reaction? What was Baba TC Ataturk's reaction? You know, at the time, he wasn't actually the fierce warlord that he is now, who himself has kingdoms worth of power all in his own city. No, at the time, he was only 18 million power. So he, in 3 days' time, whaled out hard and went to 70 million power. I don't know what that would cost offhand. But I'm thinking that that would be in the realm of like 20 grand, just shooting from the hip without actually sitting down to do the math. So in 3 days, he dropped, at least in my estimation, like 20 grand, powered up to 70 million, and took revenge for his son. He zeroed everyone who zeroed his son. Nice. Nice. He zeroed them all. Burn them all. It's like Anakin Skywalker, just like going ham on all the Tuskens, even though, I don't know. The Tuskens were just being Tuskens, I suppose. When asked whether or not he also went to play Fortnite with his son, he said he can't keep up the pace. Neither can I, if I'm perfectly honest. So you might be wondering, how the heck did Baba TC Ataturk accumulate all that wealth? Well, the man behind the legend, Turgay Koskun, is the owner of a hair salon and cosmetic chain. A hair salon and cosmetic chain. They have 2 factories producing cosmetic products. So he's got a long workday and a lot of stress, and this is how he unstresses. I mean, I get it. Sometimes it can be very stress relieving to go play a game where you're battling head-to-head against other players and you win. And you know, in a game where you can pay to progress your account very, very, very substantially. Yeah, I get it. Rise of Kingdoms is a game where there are modes that are very, very skill intensive. You can't exactly pay to progress beyond a certain point. You've got to be more skillful than your opponents. There are also game modes where you can really throw your weight around. So this is a game where you really get to experience both flavors of that style of whaling, some competitive gameplay against other players who are similarly whaling, and also battling against players where you do have a pretty powerful advantage. Now, this number will be shocking to folks that actually play Rise of Kingdoms. He's accumulated 100 million troops and 1.12 billion power at the time this interview took place. But Baba TC Ataturk is not a selfish player. No, indeed, as he says, he could win every one of these Mightiest Governor events. That is an event, by the way, that happens every 2 weeks in Rise of Kingdoms, where, honestly, the majority of in-game value and stuff is won by players. It is a contest. It is a competition. But Baba TC is a team player. He lets other folks win that as well, and I'll be honest, I mean, you know, if you've got the kind of money that he does, you really can win every one of those events and hog the maximum amount of rewards, but he doesn't, which is very commendable, quite frankly. A lot of folks in the same situation as him would not do that. One thing I found sort of funny about the interview, although I guess this is consistent with his experience defending his son, you know, in Rise of Kingdoms, that he gets a little fired up when people talk trash, specifically in forums, you know? And what the heck, you know, if you're 1 billion power, one of the strongest, if not the strongest player in Rise of Kingdoms, yeah, when somebody talks trash, you like to teach them a lesson, and Baba TC Ataturk gets a chuckle when folks talk trash in forums, and then also gets a chuckle when they cry after they lose. I mean, look, it's a war game, so yeah. That's how it goes. The developer said, silencing the doubters is definitely a good feeling. And Baba's response, here's the part of the interview where he talks about how much he spends, 50 to 60,000 euros a month. He says it doesn't hurt me and gives me happiness, so it's worth it for me. Okay, so what he's saying is like, look, his financial situation's completely fine, people. It's not like he's spending beyond his means. This is disposable income for him, which, look, it's hard for most mere mortals like me and you to fathom what the heck that would even be like. But in his own words, he says, I live only one time, and I cannot bring my money with me under the earth when I'm dead. And for my children, there's enough money left for them. Hee hee. He's prioritized his family, as I said at the start of the video, and this is disposable income. Like, I mean, we'd all like to see his yacht, his multiple mansions probably, his cars, his motorcycles. Can we get a tour of your pad, please? I put that on my channel. I would love an exclusive. Can we arrange the interview? Naturally, the person doing the interview said, will you please adopt me? Okay, maybe not quite like that. Are you open to adopting more children, asking for a friend? Baba also found that very funny. Yes, how do we become one of the children of Baba? I swear this is not a cult. Okay. For those of you who don't know, Rise of Kingdoms was originally called Rise of Civilizations, back before it was more of a kingdom building game. It was more about building up your own account. And the civilization that Baba would like to see added to the game is Vikings. And that is because he likes the great history that they've got. He likes Viking films and watched them when he was a child. Honor, power, hold together like family, just like the Turks, one for all and all for one. There you go. The sentiment from Baba. The developers actually asked him, do you ever get tired of the game if you can buy everything? Like, why? They literally are like, why do you still play? You have everything. And he's like, nah, I love it. I love it. This game's great. When asked why he still plays the game, friendship is the reason. Friends all over the world. And actually, I get it. You know, Kingdoms and Rise of Kingdoms have between hundreds or over 1,000 players. And you connect with a lot of people, which is kind of awesome. It's really all about community. I mean, at the core of this game, right? At first, it seems like, oh, like, you know, I'm in this game where I build up my own account. Haha, look at me. And then as you progress a bit, you realize, wait, this is really more about having an alliance. A group of 100 to, 150 players that all work together. To work together in Rise of Kingdoms. But then you realize it's actually not about my alliance. It's about my whole kingdom. Right? So there's 3 levels to this game. Which level are you playing? A lot of folks get stuck at just building up their own account. Some folks get stuck at the alliance level and this like strange tribal mindset of my alliance versus your alliance, but we're all in the same kingdom, bro. The highest form of playing this game, in my estimation, is the kingdom building aspect, where it's not really about your account or your alliance, but the whole kingdom together. Can you elevate 1,000 people? That's pretty freaking badass. And honestly, on a personal level, that's why I play. It sounds like that's why Baba is really into this as well. The friends you make and also the connections you form. The thing that Baba would change in this game is to make some of the older commanders stronger. And honestly, this is kind of typical in a game of this nature, that the commanders that are first available are surpassed by the commanders that are made available into the game later. I get it. That happens typically in a collection style game. It's common. I'm with Baba on this one. It'd be amazing to see some of the first commanders in the game be made stronger. Now, if you thought, however, that Baba's 1.1 billion power account was enough, no, of course not. He's got 15 tier 5 accounts. A tier 5 account, depending on how fast you get there, could be fully free to play, done in as fast as 9 months if you play obsessively, or if you're spending like crazy like Baba, you know, you could probably do it for like 20 grand in 3 days. Yikes. Baba has no final goal in Rise of Kingdoms. He plays because he has fun. And as soon as he stops having fun, he's going to stop playing. I mean, you know, when you have that kind of money, you can kind of get in or out of just about any hobby you'd like pretty effortlessly. Baba's advice to other players in the game is to try to be in a good alliance. When your kingdom is dead, migrate to a younger kingdom. His experience is that newer players spend a lot of money to grow really quickly in the game. And at the beginning of the game, there's so many special bundles you can get. You get even more gold chests. Oh. You know, once you start spending, all you can think is gold chests, quite frankly. That's the thing that everyone in your alliance gets when somebody purchases a bundle in the game. It's honestly like a genius mechanic I wish I had thought of myself. Whenever you spend in Rise of Kingdoms, everybody in your alliance gets something. I mean, the community aspect of that is well played. It's well played. What would you say to all other Rock players? To all Rock family, please be always respectful to all, even during Kingdom versus Kingdom. We all love to play this game. Show your knowledge in-game. Don't hurt people because of their nationality or religion or politics. I love you all, Baba. Baba, we appreciate that message. Yes, be kind to the other people you're playing with. Because, I mean, even if for no other selfish reason than the fact that today's enemy may be tomorrow's ally, I can tell you that our greatest allies for my kingdom in Rise of Kingdoms is a kingdom that we battled against and they were our enemy previously. So yeah, look, it's not personal. Don't make it personal in this game. It's a freaking game, people. Play the game, have fun, respect other people, and be more like Baba. Spreading love, not hate. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos to help you get value and smash your enemies. And if you'd like to see more information about how this game works and how it's played, I'll have a card up in the top so that if you're getting started, you can get off to a great start in Rise of Kingdoms. And if you want to know a little bit more about what it's like to get zeroed, That experience that Baba's son had, losing a whole bunch of his troops. I've got a video where a player who spent over $200,000 got zeroed. Card up in the top if you want to see that one. It was freaking epic. And in fact, in their own words, after they got zeroed, "Gosh, I was working, wish I could have been there. Must have been epic." Check that one out. Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.